mean, I tell you my life, for them used to go round me, one used to come round me. My life was so lonely. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. Tell me see this a blow over. This a phobia. I'm not over. Judge a soldier. From windows to sidewalk to live the sofa. Them say me living like the Casanova. No sir. Me no mix up in a coca. Marijuana no dose to the nose. I no powder. Not a older. Can't get over. Look at me now. When them treat me less than good. Put me in a box like a rectangle. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. I mean, I tell you my life, where them used to go round me, one used to come round me. My life was so lonely. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. My favorite song. God send me blessing. No, me can afford to give back to some of the same people. Them we used to sell things and who used to sell it. Now, most the same one I take us. Come up here to me, call up them. But me still I call up them. From Trenchtown, and next star rise again. Look at me now, where them treat me less than good. Oh, look at me now, look at me now, look at me now. I mean, I tell you my life, where them used to go round me, one used to come round me. My life was so lonely. All right, welcome everyone. We're gonna start at 8:30. Welcome everybody. We're starting at 8:30. That's my favorite song, Nesbit. Look at me now. Yeah, bad. So this morning, what I want to do, I want to start and I want to talk about success. I really want to talk about success. And you know, in preparing for my talk this morning, I decided that I was going to, you know, really meditate on what success is. And success is a concept. You know, and when I say success is a concept, success means different things to different people. So to some people, it means driving a nice car. To some people, it means living in a nice house. To some people, success might mean making a great impact on the world. And listen, all of those things are valid, right? So if success is what you define it as, okay? But one thing that is noticeable is that success does not come easy. Success doesn't come easy. And today, what I want to do, I want to talk about one thing that will make you successful. Just one, because we don't want to overwhelm you, you know, in this session. We're going to talk about one single thing that will make you successful, and that is your mind. I swear, your mind. This thing right here, your mind. That is what will make you successful. All right. So success has to do with your mind. And as you know, I'm going to start off with a story. Okay. So I'm going to bring you back to when I was 16 years old. And I'm going to tell you how powerful the mind is. When I was 16, my father had a relationship with J. Ray and his nephew. You know, they were his good friends. And let me tell you, one night I remember I was taking CXC. And my father, you know, had fun the evening with J. Ray and his nephew. And he woke up about 11 o'clock the night. And my sister Sean, you know, my sister Sean and I are going to be doing some lives because I'm always talking about my sister Sean. But my sister Sean and I were home. And I remember my dad woke us up in the middle of the night. And he said to us, go find your mother. Because that evening he was having such great fun with Jerry and his nephew that he got into an argument with my mom, right? And my mom decided that she wasn't going to stick around that night. So he woke us up and he said, we need to go find our mom. Now, we knew where our mom was. So we stood outside and we were shivering in the night. And I had CXC Spanish in the morning. I had Spanish orals, the exam in the morning. And my sister and I, we stood outside and we were cold and we were scared, and we just stood there because he was ranting and raving, go find your mother. So we stood there and we didn't move. Then the man started pelting us with glass bottles. We're talking about drinking bottles, soda bottles. And we decided, hey, this is serious. We need to go where our mother was. So my sister and I, we just started running. We knew exactly where she was. And when we got there, we said, Daddy ran us out the house. And, here we are. So my mom said, okay, no problem. Just make yourself a bed on the floor. And my sister and I, we slept the night on the floor. Now, remember I said to you that the morning I had Spanish orals, CXC Spanish orals. And the morning I got up, my mind was not on my problems. My mind was on passing that exam. And I'm telling you the power of this thing here, your mind. So in the morning when I got up, I went down to my house and I asked my friend Carl. Carl is in England now. I said, Carl, do me a favor. Just go in my house and get my uniform for me. And he did. I went next door to a gentleman's house, Mr. Sampson, God rest his soul, he's dead. And I took the hose, his garden hose, and I had a bath. And let me tell you this. I had the bath outside, and I didn't have lunch money. I didn't eat anything, and I'm on my way to CXC, Spanish orals. And I got a ride from somebody. I don't remember who now, but I got a ride. Because in those days, you boom ride to get to school. And I went to school, and I did my exam. And guys, I got an A for my Spanish orals. But let me tell you what happened after the exam. After the exam, I sat outside the auditorium. And I cried and I cried and I cried. And I remember Gail Morgan. Gail, if you're watching this, hi. I remember Gail Morgan and her friends came around me. And they were like, Charlotte, what's wrong with you? And I said, listen, just get me something to eat. Because they thought I was crying because I had failed my exams. But no, guess what? It was only then that I could afford to think about the problems that I had gone through the night before. You see how important your mind is? If I had given any thought to what happened the night before, I would have failed my exam. I couldn't think about that. I could only afford to think about problems after I did what was more important. So, success has to do with your mind. And the most important thing about success is that you have to think big. And that's all we're going to talk about today. You have to think big. All right. I'm going to show you how important it is to think big. Now, a couple years ago, I left Jamaica with $40 in my back pocket. And I set out to do a master's degree and a PhD degree. $40 in my back pocket. Now, people always talk about how money does things, and they can't be successful because they don't have any money. No. Money is not important. And I'm going to show you why I say money is not important. Hi Patrick, hi Janelle. Thanks for being on my live. Money is not important. I'm going to tell you why. When I got to America, I went to my university and I said, okay, what's the cost for this master's program? And the university said $23,000. Hi Gail, I just spoke about you. $23,000. And to me, you hear 23,000 US dollars, it sounds expensive. To me, it was so cheap. 23,000, only that? Because guess what? $23,000 worked out at the time to approximately $250 per week. You see, it's all about your mind. It's all about perspective. So when you hear $23,000, you think, I can't afford it. When I hear $23,000, I think $250 per week, because that is what I can afford. And guys, I'm going to show you this, because I started doing these lives because I want persons to start thinking. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, whatever goals you have, sometimes it's just not sometimes, all the time, is how you think about your goals, how you think about how you're going to achieve your goals. So I heard $23,000. You would have heard $23,000. Some persons would have heard $23,000. Yes, I heard it, but I heard $250 per week. So I started thinking, I'm like, okay, that's not expensive. What can I do to make $250 per week? And I started thinking, and I said, you know what? I could braid here to make $250 a week. Hi, Cherry. Hi, Nadine. All right, so I could braid here, right? Because back then, braiding just one person's hair, you're making $150 or whatever. So I said, okay, that's what I was going to do. And guys, I became so successful at braiding hair that I started braiding celebrity hair. Seriously, I was braiding persons who won Grammy. I mean, I became that good that when I finished my master's and started my PhD, I had to be turning people away and telling them, listen, I don't do this anymore. But seriously, and let me tell you something. Prior to me starting to braid hair, I didn't even know how to braid hair. You know how I learned how to braid hair? I came back to Jamaica and I went to a salon and I said, listen, I need for you to teach me in 1 week how to braid hair. And in a week, I was in that salon. Persons were laughing because they're like, what are you up to? And I sat and I learned how to braid hair. And to cut the long story short, I did a master's and I paid the $23,000 cash. Cash. I did a PhD and the whole thing rounded up. As a matter of fact, I did 4 degrees and I paid for everything cash, over $100,000 cash. So you see what I talk when I say money doesn't do anything. You can't make money hold you back in life. You just have to think about what the situation is, and then you have to come up with a strategy how you're going to solve the problem. Money is not important. Sometimes when you say that, people, they'll argue with you because they believe it is, but to me it is not, and I just showed you it's not. $40 I left within my back pocket, and I came back with 4 degrees. I did a master's. I did a master's in English. I did a EDS, an education specialist degree, and I did a PhD. With $40 I left Jamaica. All right, I'm going to show you how thinking big, because remember, that's all we're talking about this morning. I'm going to show you why thinking big is really, really, really critical. Years ago, I wanted to introduce a program that I had to a particular government in the Caribbean. And, I was in Florida at the time, and I decided, hey, Covered by Grace, my mentor, and I decided that I was going to fly to the country. I think at the time, I might have had $500 and something, but I was going to go. And I wasn't just going to go visit the country. I was going to go to see the Prime Minister. Now, guys, I'm not cuckoo. Seriously. Now that I'm talking about it, I sound crazy to myself. Yeah, I set out to see the Prime Minister. No, the Prime Minister and I had no business. This man didn't have any appointment with me. I didn't have any appointment with him. Remember now, I am just Charlotte Ashman. No big name out of Jamaica. I'm an ordinary person. Just like most persons watching this video this morning. Ordinary people, right? So I'm not the big names in Jamaica. No, I'm not coming with any of those titles, nothing. I didn't have any PhD yet, because sometimes people will tell me, but you have this and that. And I'm talking about those days I had nothing, maybe except my master's degree behind my name. I was an ordinary person, but I set out to see the Prime Minister. And I took a flight to the country. And let me tell you something, guys. Think big. Think big. When I got to the country, remember I told you I had about $500, but I am setting out to see this man. This man is not expecting me, but I'm going to see him, and I'm not leaving. I have about 5 days in the country. I'm not leaving until I have a word with him. All right, so I'm in the plane, and I met this guy who was sitting beside me, and he said, I am going X place. And I thought about it and I'm saying, but hey, that's where I'm going to stay, because I had a girlfriend working in that same country. And she told me that I could come stay with her for the 5 days. So let me tell you this now. So I started working it out and I said, okay, if I get a ride from this guy, then that would save me the taxi fare to go to my girlfriend's house. Because remember now, my girlfriend is there working. She doesn't have a car or anything, but she gave me accommodation. And so when the flight landed, I asked him for the ride and he said yes, he could give me a ride. But guys, growing up in the inner city, everything that happens to you prepares you for something. Let me tell you something. You see, when that flight landed, I took out my cell phone. I had a plan in the US on a network called, oh my God, it slips me now. But whatever that network was, the phone was disconnected from the US. I didn't have international roaming or anything like that. I took out the phone because I'm remembering my days living in the inner city and how you have to be smart, right? So I took out the phone and I made a call. Now guys, I'm not calling anybody. My phone is dead. But I called my girlfriend, Donna, and I said, Donna, listen, I am in your country. I'm in the country. And I'm getting a ride, and I called the gentleman's name. And he's right there listening to me. And I said, I'm getting a ride from this gentleman. And his license plate is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And, so this gentleman knows that my friend Donna knows that I am coming. And my friend Donna Red Hood, Donna Price. And she knows I'm coming, and she knows I'm getting a ride from him and that kind of a thing. And I got the ride to her house. Now guys, I still don't have any appointment with the Prime Minister. So I'm in the country and I have my nice suit. Now guys, let me tell you something. It's when you're on a mission, make sure that you're impeccably dressed. Make sure that when you show up, you show off. Make sure that when you show up for something, you look successful. Let me tell you something, guys. I had my best suit. I had my nicest shoes, and I was looking like $1 million. And let me tell you something, I called up the Prime Minister's office and I said, listen, Shalette Ashman is here from the United States to see you about X, Y, and Z. And I spoke to his assistant, and the way I said it, the way it's like Shalette Ashman is somebody. It's like they knew who Shalette Ashman was, but they can't place me. Now, come on now, who's going to call up the Prime Minister's office and let them know that, you're in the country and you're here to see him and you have a product that you need to show him. And let me tell you, they said, yes, I could come see the Prime Minister. So you see what I'm talking about? You have to think big. And another thing, another day I'm going to talk about how you have to believe in yourself. You have to, because if you don't believe in yourself, who is going to believe in you? You can't expect persons to believe in you. You have to believe in yourself. You have to be almost crazy. You have to believe in your product. You have to believe in yourself. You have to think big. So anyway, I got to see the Prime Minister. Now let me tell you something about going to meet the Prime Minister. Yes, Shireen, dress for success. Let me tell you something about going to see the Prime Minister, guys. I rented a car out of that $500 that I had because, look, I am going to look some business from this man. I can't go in a taxi. I can't go looking like I am hungry. I can't go looking pop down, as we would say in Jamaica. So I put on my suit. I had my projector. I had my laptop. I had my $300 shoes at the time. And I had a suit that I was paying for. Listen, when I finished my master's degree, I trusted is a word? I credited a suit from one of those big stores. You know how you get a store card and you pay for that suit little by little? Yes, I bought a suit at the time. Maybe it was about $400 or so. Good material, well tailored, and every meeting that I went to, I wore that suit because guess what? It made me look successful. Because believe it or not, people judge you how you look. So let me tell you something. I was paying for that suit $25 a month. And I had my best shoes and I had my suit on. And I got my little car, my little renter car. And I went to see the people's Prime Minister. And guys, after I showed him what I came to talk to him about, I left with a multi-million-dollar check. Yes, you have to think big. And you know, a lot of people sometimes fail in life because guess what? They think realistic. You know, sometimes you'll say to people, I am about to do something, and they say, but that is not realistic. You know, so they're thinking realistic. But this guy, a guy called Michael Angelo, right? He made a statement that is very profound. He said that the danger in life is not in setting or aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark, right? So a lot of times we set these little realistic goals and we achieve them. Hey, that's nothing. Listen, you have to challenge yourself. You really have to think big. I'm going to show you something again about thinking big. Years ago, when I was about 17, I finished high school with 4 subjects. Four subjects. And I say these things because there's no shame in my game. None. I'm not this. My friend Shireen always talk about knives in the drawers. Not the sharpest knife in the drawer at all. Just hardworking. So I finished high school with only 4 subjects. Honestly, I felt like a failure. And I could think of a lot of reasons why I only had 4 subjects. At the time, I remember when I was raped as a child. When I was about to take my CXC, my rapist confronted me. And let me tell you something, that did a number on me. Believe me, that really messed up my head. And remember I was telling you that my dad at the time, he had this relationship with Jerry and Nevis, so it was confusion at home. Regardless, my success is my responsibility. So I took responsibility. I should have done better. I should have worked harder. So I left school with only 4 subjects. But I realized something. I realized that I had to think big. I realized that the only way to get out of poverty was through education. Because let me tell you something, guys. You get out of poverty if you have your good family connections. Well, not poverty. The only way to succeed, you have your good family connections. You can't deny that. You grow up as one of these big names and they own 100 hotels. You are going to be successful unless you're a real bomb, right? So you are beautiful. Hey, some rich person is going to marry you. Or you better get an education. So for me, I have no problem with how I look. But for me, I wanted to get an education because that was my way out of poverty. And let me tell you something. So with my 4 subjects, I went up to the University of Technology. At the time, it was called CAST, College of Arts, Science and Technology. And I'm going to wrap up here. And let me tell you this, guys. Think big. I went and I made an application and I wanted to get into the Department of Computer Science. And at the time, you needed to have had 5 subjects, including math. I had 4. But guess what? I made the application. And when they rejected the application, because they didn't reject me, nobody rejects me, they rejected the application. I decided that, hey, they need to accept that application because what am I going to do? At 17, I was working because my mom, even though my high school would have taken me back because they knew my potential, they knew I was going through, crisis in 5th form. They would have taken me, but guess what, for 6th form, but guess what? I had to be working. My mother didn't have the money and I had to be fending for myself at that age. As a matter of fact, I left home at 17 and started living on my own, deciding that I was going to make life. So I said, listen, this college must take me. And I sat in the dean's office for the entire day. 4 subjects. The lady said to me, listen, this is not a party shop. This is a college. You cannot get in unless you are qualified. And I said, listen, just give me a chance. Give me a chance. I will repeat the math that I failed. And I am studying my A levels on my own. And let me tell you something, guys. That woman went, she came for the entire day, and I would not get up because guess what? I was getting into this college. And let me tell you see, at the end of the day, when 5 o'clock came and she saw, well, almost 5, and she saw that I was still there, I was determined because I was going to get an education. She accepted me conditionally. And that was her mistake because guess what? In a couple of months, I sat all my subjects that I failed and I passed them. I sat even A levels while I was at UTech and passed them. So let me tell you something. Success has to do, like I said before, with the mind. With the mind. And as we go along through these videos, through these sessions, I'm going to share some things, with you. But the biggest thing, I think, is your mind. Your mind. And the Bible talks about that. If you believe in the Bible talks about renewing of your mind. The Bible talks about, as a man thinketh, so is he. So seriously, whatever your mind can conceive, guys, believe me, you can achieve. This is a little girl from Grandspen. This successful woman today is a little girl out of Grandspen. I used to sell ginger beer in the Grandspen market. I used to sell callaloo walking up and down in Grandspen. I used to sell Guinness, guys. So I'm not coming to you as Charlotte from Uptown who is driving a nice Mercedes and stuff. I'm telling you, that's me now. But this Charlotte that you see here came from nothing. And it's all in my head. So I'm sharing these little gems with you because they are true, and because if anybody watching me wants to get somewhere, I'm just telling you how I did it. And the first thing was to think big and to always keep good, clean, clear mind. Guys, I teach a class in another 4 minutes, so I have to go. I thank you so much for tuning in to my live, and I hope to see you tomorrow morning when we're going to still continue the discussion on success, and we're going to talk about another variable that's pertinent to success. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I see you in my next video. Goodbye.